And I'm going to record our little session here too. It's just since we're all here, I don't know why necessarily, but anyway, if that's okay. Okay, so after you click
Yeah,
create, you've got the screen. Just jump right in. And some things I like to sometimes mention is, see where it says new flow 2021-08-17? That you can click and rename it if you'd like. So, by default, we give you this meaningless name.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
then we're doing the life expectancy as well?
Yes.
For training. Yeah. Cool.
Right.
Okay. So what was the first thing we did?
The first thing he did, I think, was actually just add a step, and we'll just start to play with it. So we just leave the first step as a random thing, and that's exactly right. And then he goes ahead and creates a scatter plot.
Cool. So then the columns were
across the across the width axis. I think we wanted to do years.
Oh, width. Okay. Oops.
And
height is life expectancy. There we go.
Yeah. So
and then
why don't you add the depth?
Filtering now?
Yeah, we don't have to build it exactly the way he did. So yeah, actually, play. You look like you're rocking. I'm just gonna let you play for a minute.
But if I want to go back to this one, just do depth by country. Exactly. And well, actually, okay. So how would I delete this step? I'll delete it like that. Cool.
Great, David. Glad to hear it's working.
Same.
Okay, so now, I don't know, let's color it.
Super.
How do I color it?
So you're going to color it using, right now, a fixed color. So the fixed is a pull down where it says,
color scheme. Oh, okay, got it.
Right. So sometimes,
no, not country.
Some screen sharing, just so everybody else knows, sometimes when you're screen sharing, you don't get to see all the pop-ups, so it's like, what's he doing? Oh, he's just selecting a pop-up that is not sharing to us. But that's exactly right.
Okay.
Where do these animations come from, by the way?
Okay.
I'm presuming this is not like Matplotlib or anything. Are these things you all developed?
Yeah, so the technical question behind this is we basically built this entire thing from scratch. The map projections and all of that stuff is from D3. We used open source code out of that. But in order to get the kind of performance we wanted and to really support VR headsets and everything, we needed to build it all from scratch. And it's entirely built on WebTech.
Cool, thank you.
Which means that every little thing we thought about to try to make it, optimal doesn't mean that we've succeeded in all our little things that we want to do, but. Was there another question there, or talk to me about what your
no, I think I figured it out.
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to make the numbers bigger, and I wanted to see if I could figure out how to do it. I did.
Well done.
And I can even make the offset increased. Oops, not what I wanted.
How do we group them together by region?
Yeah, so in terms of actually, Graham, you're just cooking along. I'm going to have you pause for a second and have Joe or David share. I didn't pay attention to them, and we'll let them catch up. So was that you, Joe, asking the question?
Yeah.
Great.
So I have them colored by region, but I missed where to group them.
Oh, okay. So let me just see. I think I need to understand a little bit better what you mean by group.
Oh, it's just because you used region instead of continent. in the
That's
color
literally
scheme.
it. Oh, I see. Continent. There we go. Oh, that's all it is. Okay, got it. So it's data source order.
Yeah, and so right, we sorted it to be by continent. Region is actually a subdivision. And I think, okay, so this is Michael's data set. It looks like he didn't sort the regions as correctly. We do a lot of work with the UN and those folks, and basically, I think they believe that sub-Saharan Africa is a different continent than Muslim Africa and things like that. So I'm used to thinking not in terms of continents, but in terms of regions, and that's where you get some of those other pretty big number of other regions than just continents. But yeah, it looks like you're in business there. Why don't we add some connections to what you're showing, Joe?
Oh yeah, let's do it. New connections. Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
If you ever kind of wonder how we designed this, I've tried to make it so that things sound like sentences. Connect the dots when the column values match the items in column country, stuff like that, so that it's
yeah,
beautiful.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
okay, that makes sense.
So let's explore a few interactions here. And the way to do that, oh, great. That's a great view you have right there. The way to do that is on select pop-up, we'll select that.
Great. Yeah, I want to do 3D text. Country here, like this I can see.
Oh, man. Perfect.
Does it always say the title of the column name?
No, click on select columns again. And you'll see that there's a preface and you can edit the prefaces.
Ah, gotcha. And now it says the example there. Perfect. Okay.
And you can also do things like put, YRS for trailing on the years, if you'd like.
Ah. Oh, and rounding precision format trailing. Ah, okay.
Oh, okay. I hadn't quite thought of that.
So.
Cool.
Ta-da, now it's a narrative.
I love it. Because you're into narrative, let's do another bit here. This will be a last bit, and then we're going to switch to David. So why don't you add a text object? So the way to do that is a little plus text in the far lower left. Next, in the timeline, yes. And for this one, I'm going to walk you through this. So let's just call this AIDS. AIDS, all capital.
Gotcha.
And if you'll rotate the screen around just a little bit, so we can see the African countries, yeah, you're in pretty good shape there. And looking at the beige lines that are close to you, you see in the you'll see a big dip in the 1990 through 2000. So see the beige line, see this long, slow dip, right? Yeah, right in there.
Mm-hmm.
So the huge drop is Rwanda, but there's this long line. But the key here, the functionality I want to show is click on the little box that says annotation line.
Mm.
And now you can click on a dot. Oh, you got it. Click on a dot. And that text object you just created now has a line connecting it to something in the space.
Ah, okay.
And you can say select dot to annotate. You can collect, have a single text object, annotate 3, 4, 10 dots.
Oh, I see. So just click it multiple times.
Yes.
Gotcha. We want to make it very obvious.
Finally, you can also click the 3 dots in that little panel you're looking at. And that's where you can see the lines you've connected. You can remove them again. You could add backgrounds. It gives you, some other stuff.
Oh, and you can even edit the lines individually. Wow.
Correct.
Okay, and it faces the camera. Okay, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna let David share.
Well done, man. You guys are flying. Either this
And no need
interface
for
has
me,
finally gotten smooth, or you guys are brilliant. So it's fun to watch.
And no need for me. I just now got access to being even able to upload data, so y'all can move on. I appreciate it though.
Okay. Graham, back to you. I bet you've explored something while you were in the background.
I was just trying to see if I could put in Unicode, which you can, to make overlays that have like a little pattern in them, which would solve my image problem.
Okay.
But
Show me.
So I was doing like, I don't think it'll, I couldn't find the right Unicode characters, but I could, I can just copy
Okay.
in.
It won't actually.
It won't?
No.
Are you sure?
So
it does something.
interesting. Yeah, it's just creating a box. The little box you see is a I don't know what character this is, and it actually isn't rendering it in the 3D space. So one of the challenges, in fact, the first thing I did before starting this whole company was built this text engine, because doing text in 3D space is very hard. And we actually have to pre-calculate every single character. Essentially, I had to rewrite like a PDF creator. So it's not that sophisticated, but make sure that every character is placed in 3D space, that they're in the right place, and that they all animate and face the camera and have good edges, etc. And that you can do, thousands and thousands and thousands of characters without maxing out your GPU, etc. So it's not that sophisticated. I'm looking forward in the next month or two to swap out my version of this, and there's an open source text renderer now that's been built, but this is literally like 5 years ago I built the text rendering engine. So I know it's going to do the things you want it to do right there.
I broke the interface up here with my Unicode character input. Now it says text one, text one.
Well, that's just the label. So go ahead and type into your text field, the text asterisk field below.
Oh, down here?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So the upper one is just it's just a way you can label your objects so that you can manage them better. And you see the name of it.
The label down here.
You got it. Sometimes when you get 4 swarms and they may be pointing to the same data set or something, it's fun to be able to read them to keep it straight.
Okay, interesting.
All right. So I think one of the things that would be fun to do is to do more of the interactions with you. And so to do that, we're going to go back to the swarm. And we select that in the timeline.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, I see. And then this is the connections. Got it. So I currently have the interactions with just
exactly right. Let's go ahead and click the highlight enabled checkbox below it, and we're going to do some more interactions. So here what we're going to do is we're going to highlight when all of the dots match a certain category. So country is the obvious choice here. And to show what that looks like, go ahead and click on a dot. And your dots are kind of small off in the distance, so I recognize that they're a little hard to get to. But it did what you told it to do, which is when the colors, when this dot matches the country of whatever dot you just selected, make it white. You can also click the little checkbox next to miss. So color match miss.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
One on color.
Which one of these?
The top one, which is for color. And now anything that doesn't match, can be de-highlighted. And in this case, the default is to set it to black, but you can set it to a shade of gray. I usually do more like a gray than a black. And you can also change, have it resize the dots, whichever ones you have selected. Now you're selecting a category across a year, which is interesting. It's a little hard to see with the way you've got it set up right there, but if you select a category based on country, maybe a little bit more obvious, but it's fun either way. And you'll also notice that you just click outside, dismiss highlight on click empty space is the default. And that works, seems to work almost all the time. That's what we want. Let's go a little bit even more sophisticated and click on the filter selected checkbox. Sorry, my internet glitched. Click on the filter selected checkbox. And now when it says filter on double click, there you go. So you can actually make everything else disappear because you just want to talk about, I'm not sure which country you have selected at the moment, right?
Japan.
Super. Sometimes if I'm this far away, I'll make the dots a little bigger, maybe. It's just, we've got.
Is there a way that you can also select by clicking on connections?
Not yet.
Okay.
So again, you can click empty space to dismiss. And we're going to give you one other kind of pretty cool thing to do. I'm going to have you scroll out just a little bit more and look down at the time axis. So look at the width axis.
Wait, sorry, what was that?
Just rotate your view so you're looking down at the timeline. Rotate just a little to the left.
My what?
Right.
Looking down at the timeline or looking?
Perfect. Yeah. So the timeline is horizontal. Perfect.
Okay.
Now click on axis, drag, select, enable. And the axis we're going to isolate is the width axis. And now you can use your press your Alt key and drag over a section of that timeline.
Ooh. Well, that's cool.
So you can filter in just to a certain section. And there's really two modes to this. There's the mode you've got where you're just isolating, and sometimes you want to zoom into it. So you can click the zoom checkbox there underneath that axis and you'll see what that does.
Oh, yeah.
Rescale the axis. Both of those are totally cognitively relevant based on what you want to communicate and based on your data set, whether you want to zoom or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you got it. Joe, shall we come back to you?
Hi, sorry, I went rogue and I'm with my own data set now.
That's perfect. That means that we get to see, are you comfortable sharing it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, yes.
Let me share my screen. So my data set of choice is annual carbon dioxide emissions by country.
Sweet.
But I'm realizing now, let me just delete this because I don't need my map. For some reason though, so I have year this way, entity this way, and then the height is CO2 emissions. The issue that I'm encountering is that for some reason the axes just disappear.
Okay, so this is very simple, but it's part of the core little bit of understanding how this system works. Okay. So in the box, in the timeline, you've got the annual CO2 emissions, and see the little roll over that box again, the gray box. See the little icon? There you go. So what you were doing, you were actually showing the connections without showing the swarm. You were only showing the lines.
Okay, I see. Is there any capability for calculated fields or calculations within Flow, or is that something we need to do outside and then bring it in?
For this base version today, we'll do it outside in your spreadsheet. Do your pre-calculations beforehand.
Okay.
We actually do have a bunch of sophisticated mechanisms in the environment, in the code base, but we haven't built the user interfaces to get at those yet. As you
Yep.
can imagine, that alone is a pretty interesting job. So you'll need to do some calculations beforehand for the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, because I'm just looking at this and I realized that everything's so low because it's not per capita. This is total emissions. So you have China right here, and then the US, and then a bunch of other, really small countries that seem like they're nothing because they're just so low compared to China and the US.
Sure. Well, let's give this a little bit more meaning with some labels, and I'll show you guys
Sure.
the labeling system. So one of the things that I would do when I'm looking at this is go, seeing all those countries listed down there, the entities, that's kind of ugly. So let's clean that up first. So axis options is where you can manipulate all kinds of things around the axis. And so what I would do is for the tick labels, which is the bottom section of the axis options.
Oh, tick labels, got it. Yep.
I would say, this doesn't do exactly what I wanted. So instead do tick line. Let me just see
Sure.
if I can figure out where we ended up putting this UI. Yes, there it is. Divide an axis into X divisions. So down the depth axis, I would just maybe put in 5. And it didn't do what I expected to do. Okay, I will have to look at that. Because what it should have done is dropped out some of your entities there.
I mean, maybe it did. There are hundreds of countries.
Okay.
So let me see. Let me do something crazy like 15. Now.
Okay. I think this is, you found a little spot. Every once in a while, a save and refresh will make something like this update correctly.
Yeah, let's do it.
Control S and Control R.
Perfect.
Save and we'll refresh. It used to be that we had to do a lot of those, and they're getting to be very rare, but I think we just found one. And now, yes, there are fewer. It looks like there's fewer in there, but I think you left it to only be like 1 out of every 3. And if this doesn't work, then we're going to set it aside and I'm going to go take a note.
Oh, it's not there all of a sudden. Okay, maybe that's why it didn't save.
Okay, I believe I've got a bug. So, but the other thing I wanted to do is actually the labeling. So what I'd like to do is have you go back to the swarm, and you're going to click new labels. So the labels are in the same place as the connections up on the top.
Oh, yep, got it.
And just to start with something, make it obvious, why don't you just click entity, show entity. And it's just picking a random subset of 200 entries, because we don't want to let you show 10,000 because it bogs your browser down too much. So let's make it a little bit smarter. So instead of showing a random subset, let's show the, well, let's try the last item within. Let's see if this is going to do what we want. So the last item within category, I think it's going to be entity.
Oh, category entity, yeah.
And there's still too many because you've got 234 countries. So that's why we have a limit checkbox. And you can limit it, maybe limit to the top 10 entries based on, there you go. My internet just glitched, but you did pretty much exactly what I wanted to do, which was just to label the things that were the most important and have those called out for you.
And this is actually really good that I did this, because now I understand this is the entire world. So I need to filter this out. My data set's faulty.
Oh, that's, oh, no, we can fix that.
Oh, how do we do that?
Okay, go back to the swarm.
Yeah.
And there's a drop down for filters.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. So create new filter, entity contains, okay. Does not contain.
There you go. Now,
Excellent.
unfortunately, it's not smart enough to readjust the range. So in order to get the, I'll go ahead to do
Mhm.
you can do the or and you may want to switch the logic or and at the top.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I was wondering where that was. Perfect. Okay. Doesn't contain. Perfect. Okay.
So there you took out the world and Asia, correct?
Exactly. And I'm also just going to take out, doesn't contain Europe. There we go. Okay. And now let me try to adjust this axis by myself.
Okay.
Let's go to this. That would be under axis options. This is the height axis. Axis.
And I'm going to warn you that you're not, if this was a game of hot and cold, you're cold.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, let's see what we can do. Oh, maybe that. It's probably this.
It's so important that we don't bury it underneath the axis options.
And yeah, that makes sense. So let's do, that's a lot of numbers. So I'm going to limit this to 10. There we go. Okay. And now scale from, does this scale take effect automatically?
No, but here's the way you can do that. There's a 3 dots in the upper right hand corner of the screen, and you're going to put it into advanced mode, as if it wasn't complex enough already. And now you get a range, min and max underneath your color gradient scale.
Oh. There we go. Okay. This is awesome. Okay, this is great.
Yeah, this is actually a gorgeous data set. You've built something meaningful here in first time in just a minute. I'm impressed.
Wait until I visualize the number of deaths due to fossil fuels, which I also have in this data set.
Oh man. Okay.
Anyway.
Can we be friends?
Do we want to switch to Graham? I don't want to steal the spotlight.
I don't have anything else to do. I don't have my data set yet.
Oh, okay.
Well,
then
this is just sweet. So what I want to do, yeah, save what you've got. When we're going to jump back into the full meeting here, and I want you to just like show this real quick, just so you can show everybody how cool you are.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Okay. Let me check. I'll ping Michael to see when he wants us to come back to the main room. Oh, actually, I can't chat to him over there. So I guess the thing to do is for us just to drop, if we click on. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do Zoom that well. So I think that we each can drop out.